This is everything on April 11th. We've been away for 10 days. Wow, look at that parsley. Holy Christmas. And a dear friend, took great care of everything. We are looking good. All those peppers. Bok choy is huge. This lettuce is just, and then we had one accident where the cats got into this. But otherwise, that's looking pretty sweet. Here we have a more mature lettuce blend. This is some emerald oak leaf and some black-seeded Simpson and some, I don't know, I've kind of lost track at this point. This has been in smaller containers, these guys right here. And so there's like baby leaf, and then I've added a bunch of herbs, cilantro and dill and parsley. This is arugula. So we're gonna mix this all together for our salad tonight. I just want you to see this, look at this parsley, the size of these leaves. And these are herbs that were individually planted and not damaged by the cats like this poor bed was. This lettuce is going to be transplanted to the garden. There's another one right there. Stinker. These were some of the seeds planted at the same time. Well, yeah, these are some of the starts that I transplanted into these containers, or I transplanted some of the other ones started at the same time into the pine boxes. And I mean, as you can see, you know, here, come here, let me get this next to you for comparison. Okay, that's a pretty big plant. So these are my brave test pilots. We've got some bok choy here. We've got some lettuce. I believe this is the Paris something. I'll find out. And this is a DMR blend. They've all been in for a few weeks. They're doing pretty good. And I think I got a cold frame, and it's in the 60s right now. I wish it was a little more overcast, but they've been hardening off a bit. And I'm gonna give it a try. I just planted these guys in this little cold frame out here. Now it's pretty balmy, 75 degrees in here. I'm just gonna leave it like this. It'll be 45 degrees tonight. We'll see how they do. There's something in one of the beds that's just come back on its own. Chives. Also got some parsley that's come back. You never know. And I just popped these little lettuces in here. You can see what I do. I just push this detritus aside and add a little bit of planting mix in there, and then pop them out of here. Usually you just put your finger up through this little hole in the bottom and just kind of push it out. But these, I think this has been in a bit long. You can see how it's this was the inside of the Jiffy pot, and you can see how it the roots have grown right into the sides. So this one might be a little root bound, but we're gonna give it a try. We'll put it in there and see anyway if it works. The idea too behind these Jiffy pots is that you can just leave them in there and you plant them in the ground. And I don't usually do that. I think that's easier to just actually transplant. I think part of the problem with these is that there's, 3 or 4 seeds in each one, and they were left to get that big. It's pretty big for us. Let us start. Where these guys are, and even though there's 2, you could just rip off that one and just leave that one. I think it's good. These guys were pretty much on their own. So, all a learning process. So there you have it. I got one little spinach right there, and then lettuce, and a different kind of lettuce that's a bit bunched up together, but it's the first transplantation, April 11th. Yes, you know who you are. You know what you have done. You have pooed in the herb garden. What do you have to say for yourself? Yeah. Last thing. These hex cells, the containers here are hex cells. These are, all these lettuce starts are from the pricking it out method, where they were started sort of broadcast in a small container and then pricked out and individually planted in these hex cells. And look how, did you ever? Some of these have been taken out, but everything just, it's good stuff. It worked. Thank you, Charles Dowding. Here's a prepared bed. Today is April 14th, and I've taken some organic raised bed soil that I bought from the store, and I didn't actually fill this whole 2x6 with it. It's kind of deceiving. It's right underneath here. If we just dig a little bit, you can see that down below is my own compost and soil mix, which worked really well last year. So all I'm really doing is just adding a fresh layer that's about, maybe 1 inch, 2 inches thick on top, and to give it a little extra, plus it just looks really nice. So now, here we have a planted bed. It's gotten a little big in the containers, and it was a little traumatized getting it out and transplanting it over. Plus I think it was a little dehydrated, and the sun was bright today when it was hardening. So we did it. And as you can see, the stuff that I planted about a week ago, it's not as pretty because I didn't add that new soil, but it's doing pretty good. I've been careful not to let it get full sun. When it was really sunny the last couple days, I put up a little board here to give it some shade. But these were looking real sloppy and lugubrious before, and they've bounced back with the cooler nights. Lettuce is pretty hard to screw up, and I make a lot of mistakes gardening, so I would know. April 16th. One of the things you have to deal with in the North Country. So we've emptied a compost bin, even though the compost isn't fully degraded. Well, let's look at the squirrel hole. You pulled all the rocks out of there? Boy, that's quite a sinkhole.
It is.
There's probably all kinds of tunnels going all over the place around here. So this is the compost, not quite degraded, but nevertheless, we're using it for these back beds, which we're just winging. I put that cardboard down at the end of last year. You can see, you can just poke your finger right through it. Worms under there and everything. This is the first little bit of compost right here that we've thrown in there. And then we'll put some topsoil and, you know, some raised bed organic Miracle Grow on top just to look pretty. But rather than bother with building, and I do like these 2x6s for the raised beds, rather than, I don't have any right now, and I just want to get going because it's April 18th and it's a great time for spinach and kale and lettuce. So we just used some of these square pieces of firewood, kiln dried, debarked firewood, and a big log there, half log. And we're just gonna throw the dirt in and make a go of it. Here's a little continuation of the long twisty bed here. Who knows if it'll work. Finally, I think I'll just need to end this video at some point. I can just keep going on and on, but here's a harvest of lettuce. This is probably my 4th or 5th harvest of lettuce since I started growing, and you can see that there's still plenty more where that came from. I took most of it just off of here and here and just now. The old cut and come again routine where you can avoid the stuff growing in the center and cut around the edges, and you can get a good 2 or 3 passes at it, maybe even more.